Hey, everybody, and welcome into part 2 of episode 2 of the CapeCast. Guys, I hope you're following over from Dan's channel. If you're not, you can find part 1's link right down in the description. Probably throw a title card somewhere. It's okay. You can watch part 1 after part 2. Don't leave yet if you didn't see it. Just watch them in reverse. It'll be fine. We had a real good time over on Dan's channel, all right? We talked about the Superfan event and how we felt about it, did a little review over that. Of course, crypto and where he might fit, and we did a little ranking of the support characters in DC Dark League. But part 2 of the CapeCast, we're getting a little bit into some of that new player with free-to-play tips, experiences, and general tips and tricks, things to take a look out for. We're going to start up a new segment going through all the Supreme Commander's days, and of course, we're going to start at the beginning with day 1. So we'll tell you a little bit about that, our recommendations on it, and our strategies, our different custom approaches to these things between free-to-play and big old Dan. Then we'll be moving into talking about some Rift strategies. The Emperor Rifts happens pretty often. It's a big league team event, and it's one of those places where you can really get some resources. So what's the most efficient way of doing that? And again, do we have different strategies? Do we see different things happening across it? Then we're just going to have a little bit of fun at the end to close it out. We'll talk about some of the characters that we would like to see introduced, and maybe even theory crafted, design a little bit, act like we're some Fun Plus devs. Why not? But Dan, thank you for hopping over on this side of the channel. I feel like it's been a long time since we talked. Of course not. It's just a moment ago. But how's it been going? How's the Supreme Commander been doing for you this week?
It's been going good, man. When it comes to Supreme Commander, just like you, man, I'm saving up the resources, using them when I can. Overall, this is one of those modes that, some people love it, some people hate it. It's very dynamic within the community. A lot of people don't like the fact that it does slow you down. So if you're wanting to star up some characters, you got to wait till Thursday. If you want to go craft some gear, you got to wait till Wednesday. So there's definitely some pieces to it that I didn't love, especially at the early state. I'm curious from your side how it feels, because I know from my side, getting the different bundles and different things like that, and then being like, oh, you got those, you got the daily deal, but you can't use it yet. And maybe I just got beat up in Meta Brawl or something like that, and I'm wanting to go ahead and start some stuff up, but I can't. But I'm curious from the free to play, now that you've kind of gotten into the flow of the game and things like that, do you see it from your side still being one of those annoying spots where you're having to wait to a certain day to do stuff?
Yeah, I don't think I've found it necessarily too annoying. The first Supreme Commander day, it was like, oh man, I was in that spot, right? Mm-hmm. Specifically when I got Joker, because I got Joker at the beginning of the week, couldn't upgrade him, couldn't get him directly into battle rotation, couldn't use him in the Rift or in Clash, because he just wasn't powerful enough at 1 star, or not even a star, right? 0 stars.
Yeah.
So that was a little frustrating, right? It was maybe a little annoying, but it from my perspective, especially with free to play, it is just the game loop, right? This is the game loop. I've accepted it. It's got to be in there. And if I don't appreciate this game, or if I don't respect this game loop, I'm not going to get bored with it. And so, that's kind of where I'm at, is I'm not necessarily finding it annoying. I guess maybe part of it is because I don't have an abundance of resources. And the Supreme Commander is the way that I'm getting the primary bulk of my resources. So it just feels like the natural gameplay loop that has to happen.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So going into, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I think it's one of those things, to your point. One, it becomes the spot where you get a bunch of resources, as long as you be patient and do it right. Mm-hmm. But also, I think if we didn't have something like this, I think you could get bored of the game quicker. if you were literally just using everything every single day, and I'm thinking about like when I get on my alloy to craft gear, if I was doing that every single day, I'd be making like 1 or 2 pieces a day. Whereas now I get to the point, you know, on Wednesday or whatever, where I can like make 20 pieces. So yeah, I kind of think it actually helps, even though people think it's kind of annoying that you have to wait. Like, I think it actually helps so that we're not just spending everything every single day. So,
Right, exactly. And it's, you know, it was kind of like one of the first time new player experiences for me. It was like if there was a lot of clicks, and then there was the appropriate amount of clicks, and then there was not enough clicks, and adapting into this gameplay loop. Like, I have something to do on each day, right? I have a little bit of gameplay time to sit down and craft gear or upgrade heroes or what have you. So jumping into it a little bit, right? The Supreme Commander, it's a 5-day event. It repeats every single week, and each day there's a specific thing for you to want to spend your resources on. Overall, each day there is the individual rankings for the day where you can place on those and have hit certain reward levels. And as we've talked about in this game, you know, if you're at 17, don't worry about trying to bump up to 10. You're only getting 5 more drones. But maybe if you're sitting at 11, might be worth bumping into it, right? And then, of course, there's the overall for the entire week on where you can hit on this. Last week, I went big getting into Joker. I spent heavy every single day. I got 12. Free to play, I got 12.
Yeah.
This week, we can see I am much further down at 62. Because I'm taking more of a saving week approach. And then next week, I really want to try, if I can get top 10 as a free to play player by optimizing my Supreme week, I'm going to feel really excited. So that's what I'm pushing myself to do. So that's kind of the big overarching bit of Supreme Commander to intro into it. But we are here to talk specifically about stage 1, day 1, which on most servers drops on Tuesday. I think, you know, depending on when your server is created, you might have it on a different day, but I think it's Tuesday for you, Tuesday for me. We're on the same cycle, and I think most servers follow that, if not all. And it's the Intel Gathering Day. So this is a great start to Supreme Commander because this is all about spending your Intel points. If you're not sure what Intel points are, they're right here in the Anti-Crime Network. You can see I've got 86 of them currently. You can have a max of 120, and they are ways to get more resources. What resources?
And
2 of them. Go ahead.
And caveat there, you can have more than that if you have the monthly pass or the weekly pass, but that stores up. So that's one of the perks. You can store a little bit more.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, us free to players, we're sitting at 120. Okay, like,
I am too. I haven't bought the pass in months, so
okay. But yeah, it's a great first start to Supreme Commander because again, Supreme Commander is all about knowing what days to spend what resources. And day 1, you're spending Intel. What does Intel get you? Gets you other resources, specifically chips and alloy. Now, we're not going to get too deep into the other days, but these are the 2 resources that do factor into a future day. So in general, I've been coming in here, honestly, on Tuesday, Intel Day, I'm hitting a bunch of genetics, Genesis Gathering, because I'm 2 war rooms behind right now. Like I can go, I have a lot to level up. And this is the main way that I've seen being able to get a lot of Genesis. Now, the thing that I just want to point out, this is not going to help you with the rest of your Supreme Commander. But you know what does help you? Winning combat cycles, winning meta brawls, and having a strong team helps you do that. You get other resources in that way. So feel free. Use the Genesis if you'd like to on your Intel Gathering Day to level up your heroes. But just remember that chips and your alloys are going to help you win other Supreme Commander days. So depending on what your goal is, right? Next week, my goal is top 10 week-long Supreme Commander. I'm going to sit back on Genesis. I need the resources for the other 2 days, so I'm going to kind of focus in on here, depending on which resource I'm currently low on. That's the big part of it. Is day 1 you're spending intel points. Now you're like, how many? It's 15 points per intel, right? 15 points per intel. You spend them in groups of 20 when you go on a raid. So that's, if I do, quick math here, that's, I don't know. My quick mather didn't come out. 300 points, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
And so as you do that, you'll be climbing through the different ranks here. And your big goal, if you're free to play, I'm pretty sure, is to finish round 3. Round 4 is just a bunch of eyes that you can claim. You can see I'm on the saving week. I got about halfway through round 3 on day 1. Didn't want to push forward with more. But that is the big part of it. So intel is huge to spend on that day. And I definitely recommend on day 1 of Supreme Commander, going to your inventory. If you got intel points sitting around, pop them. Yep. Like you were mentioning, like the 120 cap for free to play, or increased if you're paying for the monthly pass. That's your recharge. You can burn all of these immediately, go above that 120, and then use them all. But that on Tuesdays, day 1 of Free Commander, spend every intel point you got. There's, in my opinion, as long as you're not going into round 4, which is kind of difficult to do from a free to play perspective, you're clean to go. Spend all your intel points. I think it's a great way to set you up for the rest of the week.
Yeah, I think, when you look at the different days, and especially when you get to like end game, a lot of these days are going to be a little more difficult to get into that tier 4, especially if you're free to play, like you mentioned. But even if you're saving, you're spending, you're doing whatever, like I've found, especially like day 1 to be a little difficult at the end game. Because I know we haven't touched drones yet, being another item, but like I don't have anywhere to use drones, so it does get a little more difficult towards your end game for some of these days. But definitely, this is the only day that intel counts outside of day 5. But when you get to day 5, there's other things you can do, and again, you're going to save up intel anyway by the time you get there. So definitely. Don't worry about day 2, 3, or 4 when it comes to intel. Like, just use it all, like you're saying here, and then monitor where you are in those rewards for Supreme Commander. So as you hit, all of the rewards in level 1, 2, 3, just kind of keep an eye on that, so that you don't like overspend when you get to that level 4. Especially, you don't want to get caught in between like 2 different levels where you just kind of wasted resources.
Right, exactly. Especially, again, where you're at on the ranking, there's not a huge jump, right, between the reward prizes. So unless you're right there on the cusp, I wouldn't suggest chasing a ranking unless you're doing like me next week, where I'm specifically like experimenting and trying it out. But yeah, you can kind of get caught in between 2 levels, which is kind of wasted points. You can use those intel points for next week or on your catch-up day on Friday. But what if you're like I was, I was here on, Supreme Commander. I was only about 2,000 points away from that next point. What if you spent all your intel points? What are you going to next? And you mentioned it's the drones. Now, if you're unfortunately in the late game like Dan and you've got nothing upgrading or nothing researching, then you don't have a whole lot of places to spend your drones. The reason why you go for drones second, though, is we can use drones later on in the week as well. And we'll get into those days in future CapeCasts. But just know that intel first, then you can go into utilizing some drones to bump you to those next levels. My favorite thing to do with drones, because when you upgrade your drones, you speed it up. It upgrades, boom, another burst of drones right there that you can immediately use if you want to to speed up drones again or something else. So I found that the days that I'm planning to use my drones, I love upgrading the drones, which is also, again, great in the early game like myself, because that means I'm getting more drones for the next week's commander. So are you telling me like zero drone activity at all, or like very limited drone activity for you?
The only thing I can do drones on is when I do research. And the problem that I have right now with research is I'm usually having to use the research on day 3, which again, we'll talk about on day 3. So it's kind of this weird spot where like I don't have a lot of opportunity on this day to use drones. I can go ahead and spend some of my research to do that, but every room is fully upgraded, so there really isn't any rooms that I can click on just to use drones. So again, hopefully in the future we'll have some other way to use drones for something, so that you don't have to just do that, because there are Krakens out there that all their research is done as well, so they literally can't use drones right now. So it's a little strange, but
interesting.
But yeah, so like you mentioned, day 1 you want to use all your intel. Like this is your intel day, because you want to stack up all that stuff, whether it's chips or alloy, like you mentioned. Those need to be your main focuses. But yes, this is also the opportunity if you're needing to upgrade your 5 characters to, you know, help with your levels and things like that. Sims are important, so you may have to spend on some of those. And then drones are kind of your number 2. So figure out where you are with all your intel, then go to your drones. And on average, I would say whatever the amount of drones you have, you're probably looking at spending about half. You do want to keep about half your drones because you may need them on one of the future days. But based on that, kind of see where you are. And I'll throw it. I'll make sure it's in the description below. But there is a calculator that you can use, and is provided by one of the other awesome content creators for this game, where you can plug in each day, like how many drones you have, how much intel you have, and it will tell you what level you're going to end up at. Again, you're going to get some of these resources as you're going through that day and the day before, but at least that gives you an idea of, okay, I'm way over the third level, so maybe I hold back some drones or whatever. So there are some good resources out there that can help you like optimize what you're doing every day. And you can do it for the full week to figure out like, where do I use my drones? Where do I use anvils? Where do I use, you know, my intel or whatever, you know, based on what you need to do to make sure that you get all 5 days max to where you want to be.
And I'm glad that, you know, we decided to talk about this subject, because I'm, I believe 3 weeks in now, coming up on 4 weeks. And I think you sent me the spreadsheet before, but I didn't have that understanding of what I was going through here, right?
Yeah.
And so I didn't start. I'm going to be using this spreadsheet next week, because another big resource that we can spend on this day, the third big one, which I'm going to tell you, I don't necessarily recommend doing this because I did it for Joker. It's your anvils, and they're worth butt ton of points. The 300 per anvil per draw that you're using. You know, you're gathering, what did we say? It was 15 points per intel point. It's 30 points per drone that you use, 300 per anvil. But here's the thing, you can use anvils on other days too. In fact, I want to say anvils are usable every single day. Okay. And we'll get into when you should potentially be using your anvils. But anvils are another great way to bump you up into that next tier. But if you're like me, you're free to play. I'm saving my anvils right now until Scarecrow drops. We're going to get Scarecrow up to white 5. Then we're going to finish off our Joker, getting him max as far as I can with the anvils. So anvils are completely out of the option for me this week. And that's why I've chosen it very specifically to be a save week. Now, here's the thing. Here's my tip. Do your best not to have to use anvils this day. Honestly, like if it's like, hey, I could spend some extra drones, but then I only have like 50 drones for the next day. later on in the week when drone day comes back up, well, maybe use anvils that day. And the reason why is exactly what Dan was talking about at the beginning and what I experienced with Joker. I sat on Joker for like 3 days, not upgrading him. So just hold off. Just don't draw it. Don't have those shards available to you.
Right.
Because they do help out very much in a later day. Having the shards, the character unlocks, and everything. And so there is a day in Supreme Commander that you are waiting to upgrade your characters. So unless you really need to, I really recommend just waiting till another day to do that. And
I'd say CapeCast episode 3 will add a segment specifically on being patient with your anvils. We'll have a discussion about it, my opinions on when you shouldn't use things like that. That will further give you a better example of why you really shouldn't use them on this event. Again, if you literally just need 300 points to get that next reward, and the next reward is like the magic eyes at the bottom of level 3, do it. Spend that one anvil. But yeah, if you got to go like super hard on this, you may want to pause and wait on some of that.
Yeah. So really, guys, check out the description. Another content creator will definitely do the attributions and try to throw a link as well on top of this spreadsheet. It's going to ask you to make a copy of it. Just make a copy into your local Google Drive, and then that will help you plan and strategize throughout your Supreme Commander weeks. And again, just to recap, day 1, intel points absolutely first. Utilize your drones to get you over those humps. And then you can always feel free to use anvils, but we'll have deeper anvil discussions in the future. Anvils are special, and they are probably one of your most precious resource items, at least in the early game. So utilize them if you want, but if you're not patient, if you don't like to see a big shiny thing that you're not allowed to play with for 2 days, maybe hold on the anvils a bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that I hope that helps everybody strategize a little bit on Supreme Commander. We'll go through more days, but day 1 is a great day to utilize those intel points, burn all of your items that are intel points in your inventory, and set yourself up for the rest of the week and how you plan to strategize there. But speaking about being strategic, another really big event that happens, especially in the early game, is the Umbral Rift. This is a league event. So, we kind of mentioned how important it is to be in a league, especially one that's active, that drops Amazonian bounties in chat for you to claim live during a pod, but also specifically for the Umbral Rift. So you can see my league has already scheduled the Umbral Rift, and I think that's a great place to start this conversation is talk to your league. Talk to your league. The Umbral Rift doesn't have to be scheduled every single day at the exact same time. You can change it throughout. Talk to your league leadership about when is best for your league to do Umbral Rift. We have 2 main days or 2 main times that we do it. 4 o'clock right at the end of the East Coast workaday, which is great because I typically don't have a meeting, so I'm just doing that on the side while reading emails. And then we also have an hour after reset that we sometimes hit on other days, which is great for folks who are coming in. I think we do those. I'm actually a little surprised this one's at 4. Normally our Saturday, Friday is at 9. But that's okay. So the first thing is scheduling, right?
Yeah.
Schedule it out, talk to your league about it, and then be there. It's a really low effort event, guys. You are clicking to send out ships about once every 5 minutes and joining ships. So it's very easy to multitask. So step 1 of the Umbral Rift in your strategy, find out when it is, be there on time, and talk with your league about scheduling. When does your league run rifts typically, Dan?
Ours are typically at 4 p.m.
At 4 as well?
Whenever it does. So the biggest thing here is definitely if you're one of the leaders or something like that, like make sure you're either in your chat or your Discord or whatever you've got set up. Make sure you have the time that fits the most amount of people, because one of the biggest things here is this is new, where they've added that you can have the standby teams. And so I suggest always click the standby teams, always create your teams, always turn them on. This is just in case something comes up, you forget about it, whatever it is, right? You can at least offline participate, hopefully, and get some rewards. I will caveat it with the way these work. If you're not aware, or whoever's listening isn't aware, when someone makes a ship and it counts down to 5 minutes, the last 30 seconds is when it puts these teams into the ship.
Mm-hmm.
So if everybody's really active and if everybody is joining ships, your teams will not join a ship. If you don't have enough people making ships, there won't be ships for them to join and you will get 0 points. So there's a fine balancing act around having people offline, having people online. It's always better just to be online because you're going to get more points online anyway. And we'll talk about some strategies in a minute around all of that. But you're better off actually participating. But again, I always suggest doing this just in case something comes up, because there's always that emergency where you just couldn't open the game. And at least this way
you're gonna
may get something.
And you're gonna feel bad if something popped up and you just forgot to click this toggle. Because when you come online, if you come online during the event time, it's going to stop your offline participation. So you don't have to worry about like, oh, I clicked the toggle now, like I can't participate. No, it's safety net, right?
Yep.
The fact that this has to be re-enabled every single rift feels ridiculous to me. I guess it forces you to do something to be offline that rift, but it does feel a little silly. You need to make sure you're coming in here and clicking it just in case.
I think it's honestly kind of like a bot measure. If you think about it, like if I had 5 accounts, I had them all join the same league or whatever, and then I just literally set them all as kind of bots within here, and then you never had to go back and check this. I think that's like, I'm not saying that's the number one reason I put it here, but like to me, that's kind of something I could see them being like, yes, we need to make sure they're at least still active in the league and still actively doing something, so they have to click a button. But yeah, that's kind of where I see that. But I agree. This is a safety net. Make sure you click the button at a minimum. Yep.
And you mentioned, right? Mm-hmm. Your offline squads, they're only coming in at the last 30 seconds of the ship. So if you haven't seen episode 1, first off, go check it out. But if you followed our tips, our first big tip, find an active league. Mm-hmm. I got news for you. Offlineparticipation.org. I had to do offline participation this week. I got 0 awards. Not a single one of my guys went out because my league was there. They filled up every single ship seat within 2 minutes of the ship being created. We never got down to that 30-second mark with a single open seat. Yeah. It's still a safety, guys. Still do it, right? You're going to kick yourself if you don't do it and you could have gotten a reward. But just to really, really double down there, be there if you can. Be there if you can. You're going to get more rewards. You're going to help out more too.
Yeah, you used to be able to sneak into some of them because, like, again, they've made several changes to how the ships are shown during Rift. So, like, it used to be you just saw like random ships. Now they're actually showing you the one that's about to go away the soonest is at the top, which makes perfect sense. But because of that, to your point, if I'm jumping on ships, I'm jumping on the ones that are about to go out, which means, again, those AFK people aren't going to be able to join them. But, you know, when it comes to like strategy, right? So I think this is where, when we had the conversation earlier today, you were asking me some questions. You had mentioned that, you know, people in your league think one way or the other on how you should do this. And I think that this becomes the, like, as a leader of a league or an R5 or R4 or whatever. Like, you guys need to understand for your league how you want to run it. But, you know, if you wanted the maximum amount of points, so if you want to be the maximum amount of points for the Rift, then you're going to be the most selfish person, which means you're sending 0 ships and you're only joining ships. The reason why you make the max amount is because you're going to join a ship that has like 2 minutes left, 3 minutes left. You don't have to wait the full 5 minutes. So that's kind of the most selfish, the most amount of points. You join every single ship. And again, you want to join the better ships. You want to join the gold ships, the yellow ships, right? The ones that are going to have the most power associated with them, so that you do the most amount of damage and you get the bonuses from the better ship and all of that. But I'm not saying that's what you should do. I'm just saying that is the best when it comes to wanting to get the most out of it. So I think there's a balancing act, though. Most leagues will tell you you need to maybe send 2, join 2. And again, this comes down to if you get the monthly pass, you get a 4th slot, so you can actually do 4 ships. So again, if you want to maximize, you also need the monthly thing to have all 4 ships instead of 3. And you may have to be a spender at some level to have that extra ship anyway, or the extra gold ship from the Green Lantern rewards. So like there's a couple levels here within this of like how to maximize all your stuff. But that's going to be kind of how you get the most out of it, is you want to be joining as many ships as possible, as quick as possible.
Right. And that's, again, the most selfishly, right?
Yep.
Imagine if everybody in your league takes that approach, there's no ships to join. No one's sending ships. So you'd kind of mentioned, and I think maybe that's what your league does is like send 2, join 2, send 2, join 2, right? My league has boiled it down much simpler.
Yeah.
Send ships first. Priority is to send ships. No matter what's going on, you should be sending ships before you join. Yep. And the thought process there is that the more ships out there, that's the more that's able to be joined. That's the higher your overall league damage is going to be. Now, your individual damage might not be that great comparatively, but your overall league damage, in my opinion, if you're sending at least as many ships as you possibly can, you're going to have better league damage, and other people are going to have those opportunity to join those ships. So absolutely, the big thing is, again, talk with your league, follow their guidance. And that's what my league did. There was some discussion on it. One guy was like, I think this is better. I think I should be joining 3 and sending 1. And league leadership just said, no, prioritize ship sending. Like, I hear what you're saying, but we want to prioritize ship sending. That's how we do it with this league. And he was like, all right, cool. That's the guidance from league leadership. They heard me out. They explained that's not the way they want to do it. And we've been sending max ships. Yeah. So talk with your league, see where it's at. I'm going to say, though, my recommendation is that if you haven't heard guidance from your league, send as many ships as possible. Don't be a selfish player. Be a generous player. Send those ships out there so that other people can join them and you guys have maximum number of ships going. When you really think about it, you should ideally have double the number of ships in the Rift as you do team members online. Now, granted, I think a bunch of people are online and not actually active. I think some people might be doing the join bit, but that's ideally where you want to be. Now, the next thing that I want to get into, right? Like, there's the debate of how many you send versus joining. But the other big thing that I want to recommend, especially your first ship, send your first ship out there, wait 15 to 20 seconds. Then send your second ship, maybe even 30 seconds. Because as you mentioned, Dan, it's great. I didn't know it wasn't this way before. The ship that's going out next is at the top of the queue. So it makes it really easy to join. I actually joined like the second ship because the ships fill up so fast that I end up not joining because my league is so active. Right. But yeah, I would recommend send your first ship, wait somewhere between 15 and 30 seconds, then send your second ship. What that's
Yeah.
going to do is going to allow people to get off of your ship, click your join button, and get on to your next ship. And then you
Yeah.
kind of have a stagger rotation there. If you don't want to wait to join, hey, that's fine, right? Send your first ship, join somebody else's ship with your third team, right? And then that 30-second mark, send out your second ship with your second best team.
Yeah.
But I think that's a big thing that, aside from sending ships, my league has been kind of saying at the beginning of rifts, and I found it to be pretty helpful. I found it that more people were joining my ships. I found it easier to join other people's ships, because there were definitely, like the very first rift I was in, all the ships, they filled up real quick and then they sent out, and then I'm waiting for a new ship to get created, and then I'm joining it, and then I'm waiting for the full 5 minutes instead of 2 minutes or 30 seconds or 1 minute or whatever it may be. So I would say, you know, my advice for being a super generous player, which I think is where you should, you know, err on the side of caution, is send as many ships as possible, make that your priority, and your first 2 ships, go ahead and stagger them, right? Now, for me, once you get into the heat of the rift, I don't bother staggering anymore. If they end up back in sync, I'm just trying to send at that point. But the first one I do try to stagger.
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion, because there is that whole, like, if everybody goes at the same time, they all just go and they all come back. So having some staggeration between there definitely helps to make sure there's always ships you can join. So
yeah, and I've had a lot of fun in the rifts. I really have. I think they're again, it's a low impact. Like I do. I hope none of my coworkers watch the CapeCast. I play this during work. I just put it on my second monitor, type up an email. 4 minutes goes by. Click, click, click. 3 seconds of clicking stuff, and then I spend another 4 minutes working. It's very low effort. It's very easy to get in there, and I honestly have a lot of fun with it. But something else I have a lot of fun with is theory crafting with you, Dan. So I'm interested. What are some characters or a character that you'd be interested in seeing come to DC Dark League? And maybe how do you imagine their kit a little bit? Maybe you think of an ability, maybe you just know like the type of character that you expect them to be. But let's end it off here with a little bit of a fun combo.
I think this is one of those things, right? There's so many characters in the DC world that we haven't even touched yet. Heroes and villains from all the different franchises. But I guess where my mind goes first is, what am I missing? I'm a little selfish when it comes to this. What am I missing on my teams? I have my Justice League Dark team. Zatanna is always my weakest link. So right now, Zatanna always gets replaced with Superman or now Crypto. In a lot of my battles and things like that. So I want somebody who can do something similar that Crypto does. And this is where my mind goes of like Swamp Thing. So there's a few bigger names in Justice League Dark. Not a bunch, but there's a few. And Swamp Thing is one of those. It's iconic character in general. And this is a character I'm like, man, he could be Justice League Dark. He could come in and he could do something so similar to Crypto with like a moss wall or something that gives me a shield, that gives me protection from that first Deathstroke hit. It can be different enough from Crypto. It doesn't have to do a heal and do whatever. It could literally just say like the first time they were to, go down, they get revived. Swamp Thing has reviving healing powers, right? Like, so maybe that's what his is. So Deathstroke goes down, hits his thing. Constantine goes down, but then instantly comes back up, with a revive. I think that would be a cool type of character. So again, Justice League Dark, he's a support, and he's going to help my Constantine survive those assassins. Because we got another assassin on the way with Ra's al Ghul coming, which is probably going to make Deathstroke even worse. So that's where I am with Swamp Thing. But like I said, I think there's so many characters that's just where I'm at right now. I'd love to see one more Justice League Dark, because right now we just have 5. We need one more to give us an option.
Yeah, it's interesting when we had discussed and thought about this idea. I realized that I kind of approached it the same way, right? Which was like, what am I missing? What do I not like about my main team, right? And we all know that I'm going for Joker. And here's the thing. I don't know if Two-Face is any good. I'll be honest with you. I just don't like Two-Face as a character. He's an interesting character, but I don't want to look at that ugly face all day.
You don't like Tommy Lee Jones? I see how it is.
Just not huge on it. Just not huge on it. And then the Penguin stinks. Like, he's just not that strong. He's just not that good. And then we don't even need to talk about Catwoman. I don't understand why she's marked as a bruiser. She has no health. So I was like, what could I fit in here? What Batman villain could I potentially fit in here that I would like, right? And so I'm thinking the Riddler. He's very iconic. He's one of the major Batman villains. I think. I don't know why Harley Quinn's not Arkham's most wanted. I don't know, but I also don't want to use her in this build. But I think like Riddler's going to be in Arkham's most wanted. Like he's just too iconic in my opinion. And he doesn't fit another team like Suicide Squad, which Harley does fit, you know?
Right.
So I think the tag fits with him just fine. But I actually, funny enough, when I think about him, I'm actually interested because like Joker's doing all my damage. I don't think I'm that super interested in him being a damage dealer. I'm thinking more of a support type role, not necessarily healing because I've got Ivy, but I love the idea of like some kind of Riddler ability where, and maybe it's his big activation one, where he sends out question marks and riddles and things, and that controls, that puts their opponents under control because they're confused and they're trying to figure out this box and solve this puzzle, and maybe they literally have a Rubik's Cube in front of them and they have to figure it out or something. But I think I would like him more of like a supporting role to distract the enemy, to maybe synergize with Joker's Venom a little bit somewhere where like maybe damage over the time effects might get faster or something when they're riddled away and they're trying to solve the puzzle. And I also just think that it would make for some great animations. Seeing the question marks pop up, Riddler's iconic suit. I just think it would make for some really cool animations. So for me, I'd like to see Riddler come in.
I like that. I like where to your point, like the question mark could be either a stun of some sort, right? So you're stunning some people, so they're now you have more time to do what you're doing with your Joker and your Ivy. Also, I mean, you could even have something where they're confused and then they like attack their own people, as another kind of thing. So I definitely like that as a pick. I definitely like the fact that it would be another support character to kind of help, because you think about like Bane and Scarecrow are your front line. So whatever comes to this team is a backline person that's replacing Harvey Dent or the Penguin. And so I kind of like that as another intimidator in a way. To where it can kind of confuse some people and give you a little more time to get those DPSs with Joker.
You guys out there watching the CapeCast, thank you so much for hanging out, coming over to this channel, brand new channel. All right. If we can get some subs, if we can get comments and likes and get this channel off the ground, I'll make more content than just the CapeCast. All right. But we got the CapeCast part 2 showing up here, and I appreciate you guys coming by, hitting that like button, hitting that subscription, lifting this channel off the ground so that maybe we can get this guy into the creators program, and then me and Dan will have more interesting things we can talk about in the CapeCast. But before you leave, all right, real quick, guys, who do you want added, right? Do you hate the Riddler? Was that a horrible pick? Do you even know who Swamp Thing is? because I didn't realize he was in Justice League Dark, and Dan had to school me a little bit on that one. So let us know down in the comments, who would you like to see in the DC Dark League? Guys, this is the CapeCast. I'm GC Jesse, Geese James, however you want to pronounce it out there. And this is my good friend Default Dan. And you guys have a super morning, evening, or afternoon, no matter where you're at. Thank you guys for being here at the CapeCast.